Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Catherine and I make all kinds of content on this channel. I talk about books, learning languages, and I also do some lifestyle videos here and there. So today I actually have a book video for you, and I want to talk about a book series that I'm not going to be continuing, and I'm not going to go very deep into each series, because otherwise we would be here for 5 hours and nobody wants that. But grab a cup of tea or coffee or just water, because this video is probably going to be long. So I actually have 46 series to talk about today, so I will try to make it as short and as quick as possible. And a little disclaimer before we start: if I mention any of your favorite series or trilogies, it doesn't mean that I have something against you or that these series and trilogies are bad. I just have lost interest in them, or I didn't enjoy them. Everybody has a different taste and everybody has different reasons to not continue on with the series. And there are so many different books, and I mostly read standalones right now, so that's a huge reason why I'm not finishing these series. So without further ado, let's get started. First series that I'm not going to be continuing is Shatter by Tahara Mafi. I read the first 3 books and I think there are 5 or 6 now, and honestly I believe that this should have been just a trilogy, so that's why I'm DNFing it. The next one is Vinger by Andrew Smith. I believe that the series is also called Vinger, and I actually absolutely love this book. It's a very beautiful and interesting book, but over time I have lost interest and I don't think I will ever read the second book. The next one is Warcross by Marie Lu, and I've actually recently read this. I read it in April and I enjoyed it, but not to the point where I would love to continue on with the series. The next one is Dash and Lily's Book of Theirs. It's what the first book was called, and I didn't really love it. It was kind of weird and like slow, and I just didn't enjoy it, so that's why I'm not going to continue on with the series. But I think that if you like Christmassy books, you should definitely give it a try over the holiday season. The next one is Stalking Jack the Ripper by Carrie Menescoco. I read this last year. I actually listened to it on audiobook, and again, I enjoyed it. I think I gave it 3 or 4 stars, but I don't want to continue on with the series. I'm not interested enough to see where it goes. Next one is Contours of the Heart by Tamara. I read Easy about a year ago and I enjoyed it. It was cute and easy and beautiful, but I'm not interested in reading the other 3 books, or however many books out there. The next one is Ready Player One by Ernest Klein, and I know this is very, very popular, and I really enjoyed the first book when I read it, but the more time goes by, the more I understand that I actually didn't love it as much as I thought I did, and I'm just not interested in the second book. The next one is Bridget Jones's Diaries by Helen Fielding, and to be honest, I was never interested in continuing on even when I read the first book. I just wanted to know what it is about, so I read it. Then we have the Nyxia Triad by Scott Rankin. Again, I wasn't really interested in this series. I just read the first book and I enjoyed it, but not to the point where I really want to continue on. Then we have Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children series by Ransom. Again, this one is another very popular series and I really, really enjoyed it. I loved the first book. It was absolutely amazing, but I didn't enjoy the second one as much, and I decided that I'm not gonna continue on. Then we have Dawn Tillman series by Graham Simpson, and I read the Rosie Project a very long time ago and I didn't love it, so hence why I'm not continuing. Next one is Pretty Little Liars by Sara Shepard. This one is very, very long, and if you have watched TV series, you know how long it is, and I think I have read 3 or 4 books in the series and I just don't want to continue. I just don't have the time to read 15 or however many series there are and never finding out who A is. The next one is another really popular one, and that's The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. I read the first one and I really enjoyed it, but as time went by, I just understand that I will never continue on, and I'm not really into fantasy and dystopia anymore. This next one is kind of sad because I love Rick Riordan, but the King Chronicles is another one that I will probably never finish because it's just long and I kind of don't want to bother with it, even though I absolutely loved the Red Pyramid when I read it. It's a middle grade series and it's beautiful and it's interesting, but there are just so many books out there that I would rather read. We have Slide by Jill Hathaway. I think it's what the author's name was. I really enjoyed the first book. It was entertaining, but probably not gonna pick up the second book, or if I ever will, I will probably have to reread the first one because I don't really remember what happens there. Warm Bodies by Isaac Marion is another one. I really didn't like this book, so never gonna happen. The Wolves of Mercy Fall by Megan Steewater is another one. I did not like Shiver, so I will not read this book and you will not convince me to. Passage by Justin Cronin is another one. It's very long and it took me almost a month to read the first book, and I'm not gonna bother picking up another book by him because it's just way too long and it took me forever to get into the book, and once I got in, it was interesting, but it's just way too much time wasted. Water Song by Amanda Hawkins is another one that I'm not gonna finish. I read 3 out of 4 books and I know I could just like pick the 4th one and just read it, but I'm not gonna waste my time. Me Before You by Jojo Moyes is another book that I think should have been just a standalone, so that's why I'm not gonna bother. Under the Never Sky by Veronica Rossi is another series that I really enjoyed. It's a dystopian series and I read it around the time when dystopia was very popular, but realistically I'm not gonna pick the 3rd book and I don't really remember what happened there, so I would have to reread the first 2 and I just don't have time for that, so I'm sorry. Gone by Michael Grant was a series that I really enjoyed. I read the first 2 books, I think, but they are just so huge and the series is like 6 or 7 books and I'm just not gonna finish it. I also read What's Left of Me by Kat Zhang around the time that dystopian was very popular. I enjoyed this one. I gave it 4 or 5 stars, but I'm not gonna finish the series. Mind Games by Kirsten White is yet another one that I'm not gonna finish. I think there is just 1 book left, but realistically, that's never going to happen. Another very popular series that I don't want to finish is Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. I know it's very popular and everybody raves about it, but I read the first 2 books, I enjoyed them, but when I started reading the 3rd book, I understood that it's not for me. Then we have Fracture by Megan Miranda. I did not like the first book at all, so I'm not gonna continue on. Another one that I'm not really interested in finishing is Girl Online by Zoe Sag. Again, this was another juvenile book, and I'm just not gonna read the 3rd book. I read the first 2 and they were okay, but I'm not gonna waste my time on the 3rd one. Yet another very popular series is The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood, and I did not enjoy the first book. The next one is To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. I think that this should have been just 1 book, and even though I didn't love it, I don't think it should have been a series, so I'm not gonna bother and continue. The next one is Red Rising by Pierce Brown. I hated it. I'm never gonna pick it up again. The next one is Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo. Now, I absolutely love her Six of Crows series, but this one I'm just not interested in. The next one is The Pledge by Kimberly Darling, or Darting. I don't know. I don't even remember. And I enjoyed it when I first read it, but I didn't pick up the 2nd book right away, and I don't think I ever will. The next one is Sweet series by Wendy Higgins. I read Sweet Evil and Sweet Peril about 3 or 4 years ago, and I enjoyed them when I read them, but I'm not into fantasy anymore, as I said, and I don't think I will be finishing it. Then we have another very popular one, and that's the Half Bad trilogy by Sally Green. Again, I enjoyed the first book, didn't love the second as much, and never got around to picking up the third one, and I'm not even interested in them anymore. The next one is Gay Girl by Holly Smale. I enjoyed the first book again, but never got around to reading the second one, and I think there are 8 or 9 or even more books out, and they are for 15, 16-year-old girls, and I think it's a little bit juvenile for me. Then we have Heart of Dread by Melissa de la Cruz. The first book is Frozen, and I really enjoyed it, and I think I gave it 3.5 or 4 stars. I felt like it was yet another dystopian, but I enjoyed that it was set in the ocean and it was kind of all about pirates-ish, but realistically, I will just never read. This next one is a series that you can read whichever book you want, and that's Private Games by James Peterson. It's like a detective series where you can read book 1 and then book 5 and then like whatever, and I really enjoyed book number 1. I don't remember what it was called. I think it was something related to Olympic Games, and I really enjoyed it, but realistically I'm never gonna read the entire series, so I just wanted to mention it. The next one is Need series. I don't even remember the author. I remember that I actually read the second book because at my high school, I think it was grade 10, we had an assignment to read a book in English, and my teacher had these books to choose from, and she gave me Captivate, and I read it, and I didn't understand a thing, and I think this was the first book that I read in English ever in my life, so it's kind of important to me, but at the same time, I just don't care about it. There are a lot more fantastic books that I read after this. Fallen by Lauren Cade is another one. I enjoyed the first one. I don't think I read the second one. I don't remember. It's yet another angel fantasy series where the girl is the chosen one, and it's just like, it's not for me anymore. I have grown out of that age. The next one is The House of the Scorpio by Nancy Farmer. I loved the first book, but I just never bothered to pick up the second book. I think I read the first one in Latvian, and then the second one was not translated, so I wasn't even bothering and looking for the second one in English. The Giver by Louise Laurie is another one. I absolutely love this book. It was phenomenal, but I think that it should have been just one book and not a series, and I'm not really interested in continuing on because generally second and third and fourth book and so on, it's just worse and worse. The next one is Ender's Game by Orson Scott Card, and I really enjoyed Ender's Game, but again, I read it in Latvian, and I don't think the rest of the series is translated into Latvian, and I have this really weird thing in my head where if I read the first book in one language, it's really weird for me to continue on in another language. I don't know, I should get over myself and just read and continue on with the series that I'm interested in, even if I have to read them in different languages. It's just like, it's just weird for me, okay? One that I really enjoyed but kind of lost interest is Origin by Jessica Corey. I actually think the series is called Corpus, something like that. The second book is Vitro, and I really enjoyed this one actually. It's a beautiful and original story, but I've kind of lost interest. The next one is Hollow Earth by John Borrowman. I think it's what it's called, what his name is, and I think he wrote it with his wife, and I loved it. But again, the first book was in Latvian, and the rest of the series is not, and it was probably like 8 years ago that I read it, so I would have to reread it, and I just don't have time for it. House of Night by PC Cast and Kirsten Cast is another one. I read first and second book, I think, but the series is just, infinite and I will just never read it. It's about the chosen girl, the fantasy, it's like angels. And the final one, we are finally here. Book series number 46 is Beautiful Creatures by Cami Garcia and Margaret Stoll. I read the first one. I don't want to continue on. I think there are 4 in total, but they are just way too long and I didn't love it as much as everyone else seemed to. So there you have it. Those are all of the book series that I'm not going to finish. Again, I really don't want to say I will never read them because I am a huge advocate for never say never because you never know what could happen, but I'm 95% sure I will never finish these 46 series. And yeah, comment down below if you have read any of these series, if you have DNF'd any of these series, and maybe I should give some of these a go. But anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that you are all well. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you very soon. Bye!